right, Gory, what would your second pick of the dollar show be?
Well, my next pick with my last dollar, Drew, I wanted to stick with these Oscar movies, because we had.
Oh, it had to be better than No Strings Attached.
That's true. After No Strings Attached, I really had to get the quality up, so I figured I'd go with 127 Hours, right?
Not a bad pick.
Oscar-nominated true story of Aaron Ralston. He's a hiker, kind of a free diver. I don't know what the heck you call it, but he stands on top of big, chasms and just jumps into them. It's pretty crazy. I wouldn't do it.
It looks interesting, but kind of out there.
But yeah, so he's going around. Where is it? In Utah?
I think it's somewhere out there. Utah, Iowa.
I could have researched it. I could have IMDb'd it, but no.
No.
I'm just gonna say,
This is the dollar show version.
That's right. This is what happens. He goes into a cliff. He meets a couple hot girls right off the beginning, by the way.
Yeah, which I thought was crap. I just didn't really buy that. What are two hot chicks going to be doing out here?
Well, this is a true story, Drew, and I'm assuming this was based on his novel and it actually happened.
Or it could just be loosely portrayed.
Could be. That's true. Hollywood has a way of doing that. But anyway,
we wouldn't know the difference.
At the very beginning, he's biking his way, through the canyons. He comes across two, beautiful girls, and they kind of have a nice little interlude where they jump into a cave and go swimming in the sinkhole.
They get wet together.
They get wet. It's a nice little moment, and he's feeling. And I gotta say, Franco he was also Oscar nominated as Best Actor, which I think was fitting. He plays his role. It was a good casting because Franco kind of has that kind of,
likability. Yeah.
It's like a stonery likability. Exactly. He used it to a good effect in Pineapple Express.
Yeah, he didn't do bad, even though that movie was crap.
Anyways, after this thing with the girls, and they make a promise, well, I'll come to this party later, but wouldn't you know it, he's going to go for one more little dive into a canyon, and he does that, and what happens? A boulder falls on his arm, pins it right to the rock, and next thing you know, he's stuck there at the bottom of a huge canyon, a chasm.
Hey, wasn't that? He was on the ground, was he not?
Luckily, yes, he was able to stand on the ground. I mean, you can only imagine if he was halfway up there.
Well, then maybe it would have popped out.
It might have, but anyway, he's all the way at the bottom of this thing. That's the point.
Yeah, and he's standing there.
This thin canyon with his arm just pinned in there, and this was the true story. You probably all remember when it happened. And so he's stuck there with nothing, but he's got a little bit of water in his little backpacker thing. Which I got to say, the direction by Danny Boyle, who's Oscar-winning Slumdog Millionaire, was so he's got quite the Oscar pedigree. He's done quite a lot of good movies. Danny Boyle has, but the way he directed this thing, you're confined to this little chasm, but it goes off on little memories that Franco has. It goes off on little hallucinations he has. The camera even roams into his hose of his water backpack. The camera is kind of very fluid for this static story, and it makes it kind of exciting to watch because you are pretty much for the duration stuck there with him in this little cave, and deciding what to do. And of course, we all know how this grim story ends going in. So the question is, you might think it holds no suspense, but I found it to hold quite a lot of suspense.
Really?
Because you knew what it was going to come to, and you're kind of, it's almost like a morbid thing. You're waiting for that moment to come, but you know it's going to get you there.
True. And
when it does happen, I got to say, it was done tastefully. It was gory enough, but it wasn't too gory. Surely there's been more gore in the Saw movies and things like that.
Yeah, I felt it though.
But this was done more, you cared about the character, and it was done in such more of a realistic way, and just the sound effects and the brief parts they did show was very painful to watch, and I'll say I kind of watched it through my fingers a little bit, and I'm a seasoned horror movie fan. But at the end of this story, even though I knew what the outcome was going to be, and I was waiting for this grisly thing that happened, and it was, I found myself to be uplifted. It actually is a story of survival and what you would do, and you kind of immediately put yourself in that situation. Could I do that? But the fact is, he did it, and you feel good about it when it's over. And I think it was a great performance by James Franco, some great directing by Danny Boyle, and I really like this movie a lot, Drew.
Yeah, Gory, this movie wasn't too bad, but I just wasn't as intrigued as you were in this movie. It was done well, and it was acted well by Franco. He got an Oscar nomination, but still didn't win, but that's okay. He did a good job in this, and of course it was shot well, but I just don't know if I went with the story. The guy's got the arm trapped here with the rock, and he keeps going at the rock, and doesn't he put a lasso over it or something?
He tries all kinds of things to get it out.
Yeah, and it doesn't move at all?
It's a true story. What, you're questioning the truth of the story? The guy cut his arm.
You got to pull that sucker out.
Dude, I think he did everything he could.
I don't know. He should have chiseled away at the rock. Well, he started chiseling away, but then he stopped.
Can't be Monday morning quarterback.
Oh, come on!
It's in there. You weren't there.
What are you going to do for your right arm? Just don't know if I would. I might have just died.
Well, I agree with that. You might have died, and I might have died. But the fact is, he did all he could do.
Yeah, and now he's like a millionaire off it.
You put yourself in that place?
Well, I try to. That's what you try to do with a movie.
Not all movies, but this one.
Well, you try to put yourself into situation. What would you do in the same thing?
I think this movie did a good job of putting.
Oh
it there.
yeah, I mean, I felt it. I mean, like you said, he was trapped in there, and you felt it. He was there. I mean, he was like what? That was like 30 minutes in the movie with him there.
Oh, I'd say even more than that. And I'll tell you what, Drew. Well, I don't know. I think you're saying you're acknowledging it was well made and
it was.
Performance and the things you're questioning are actual facts. I don't know, but I personally got to give this movie. And I mean, it's a good week. I mean, it's the Oscar week, really. It's Oscar April at the Dollar Show. But I'm going to give 127 hours a hell yes. Go ahead, spend your dollar on this movie. You're going to be riveted, kind of repulsed, and then uplifted eventually.
Eventually. Well, I'd have to give this a sure. I'd give it a sure. It's not bad. I mean, it's not that great, but for your dollar, it's worth it. Just for the direction and the acting by Franco.
So that's one sure and one hell yes for 127 hours. Which, by the way, Drew, I just realized Danny Boyle, the director, he made 28 Days Later, and now he made 127 hours. And I hear his next project is called 1,260 Minutes. What's going on here?
And we'll be back next time with a couple new Dollar Shows and maybe some video pics.
Until then, we're the Dollar Show critics, and remember,
we give a buck.
So, do you think Natalie Portman, though, at least deserved to win her Oscar?
Debatable.
Really?
Debatable. I mean, she had some stiff competition, did she not?
She did. I mean, who would you have given it to other?
Julianne Moore.